We've got 40 of you. Some of you I've seen before, and I know that you might know a little bit about the University for Peace, but what I'd love to do is share with you a short 2-minute video that gives you an overview of why we exist and how we work. So I'll just share screen and just give me a thumbs up to let me know if you hear the sound fine. I'm going to stop my own video when this is streaming just to help with the streaming process.
So you wanted to know about the history of the university. Of course, it officially came into existence because of General Assembly Resolution 3555, which was signed by all of these member states of the United Nations. That was brought to the General Assembly by Costa Rica under the administration of Rodrigo Carazo Odio. He was a major player in the creation of this university. He was a co-founder. The other co-founder of the university was Robert Mueller. Rodrigo Carazo recognized the value of an international organization. Robert Mueller recognized the value of establishing a university that was also inspiring, a place for inspiration, a place where people could meet almost in a garden on a mountaintop to talk about their deepest fears and their greatest hopes and aspirations, and to work together through respectful dialogue to contribute to the emergence of a global culture of peace. The combination of these influences have been really enriching for the university. They've allowed us to become who we are, which is a very unique and interesting place in the world. You can come here and you can create something. You can contribute to something international, something inspiring, something meaningful. It's that potential to meet like-minded people. You can get to know people not just in terms of what they're thinking about and what they're researching, but in who they are, in terms of their dreams, in terms of their aspirations. And it's a great place to network and to build something in a collaborative way.
All right, so that was in 2 minutes, the history of the University for Peace. And the UPEACE Center for Executive Education that is hosting this session is that branch at the University for Peace that's really set up to cater for working professionals, people probably like you who are not at this point interested in one of our master's programs, but want to invest in their professional development. So we offer lots of different programs in flexible formats, and Hannah will be covering some of that later in the session. But all of our programs aspire to this idea of transformation. So that's a little bit about the Center for Executive Education, and our clients really range from, we did a project over a couple of years with the UN mission in Haiti, that's the MINUSTA. We collaborate with the United World College in Costa Rica. We have corporate clients and a number of multilateral agencies. So just to give you a sense, we are agnostic in terms of who we work with. It's just what we look for when we partner with anyone is that, is there value that we can offer in terms of under the umbrella of the mission of the University for Peace. So that's a little bit about some of the people we work with. And, you know, I thought I would start off really, maybe as we get into this idea of a hedgehog, the hedgehog concept, I did want to share a story. So there are lots of images there about my background, but the story I wanted to share goes back about a little over 20 years ago. And at that time, I was living in San Francisco. This was, the year was 1997, actually. And my childhood best friend from Switzerland, here's a picture of him a number of years later. He was visiting me in San Francisco. Now, Julian, who used to live in Geneva, I hadn't seen him for many, many years. And so when we reunited many years later, I took 2 weeks off and we started this road trip down the coast of San Francisco. And Julian said to me, Mohit, you know, last time I saw you, you were a school kid. What is it that you do now? And I started explaining to him. At that point, I was working as a management consultant with big businesses in all of US actually. And I started explaining to him a little bit about my job and how I worked with different clients. And as I was explaining to him, I saw this look in my childhood best friend's face where he really wasn't understanding not only what I was doing. I was using big words like I'm working across multi-sectors and cross-functional teams. So I was using these jargon words, but more importantly, Julian wasn't understanding why I did what I did. And that really struck me. He's somebody who really knew me ever since I was 8 years old. And so I asked him the same question. You know, sometimes they say attack is the best defense, because this made me feel uncomfortable. So I asked him the same question. I said, Julian, I don't know what you do also now that you're all grown up. And I'll never forget his answer. He said to me, Mohit, you know me really well. You know that I love sports and that I'm passionate about children. And when children play sports, I know it's good for them. So I became a sports teacher in the Swiss public school system. It took him maybe half a minute to explain to me not only what he did, but more importantly, why he did what he did, how it played to his passions for children, how it played to his strengths in sports, and how doing it really made a difference in kids' lives. And so, you know, that was a turning point for me. That was now over 20 years ago. And that conversation made me reflect about, you know, if my best friend had found that intersection of things that he's passionate about, that he's good at, that he gets paid for, and that really makes a difference in people's lives, I could probably do the same, because management consulting for me was not something that I could get that excited about, and I couldn't see the transformation. So the question that I had as a 25-year-old was, how do I do work that I love, make a positive impact in the world, and pay the bills, right? I was very practical. By the way, I'm from India. Any one of you who have Indian friends of my age, 47, we're grounded in the fact that paying the bills is an important reality, right? So those were, you know, that was my question. And this conversation took place in the year 1997, before Jim Collins wrote his book called Good to Great. Now, Good to Great, Jim Collins is or at least was a professor at Stanford at the time, and wrote this book. He looked at organizations that had succeeded over time and looked at leadership models. And he came up with this concept called the hedgehog concept, which very much echoes the question that I had had a few years ago. And so I was exposed to the book. And then a few years later, he wrote another book called Good to Great and the Social Sectors, which I know many of you work in the social impact sector, but that hedgehog concept came back, and he said it's equally applicable to individuals, to organizations, whether they're businesses or nonprofits or government agencies or educational institutions. So today I thought what I could do is share with you a little bit about this powerful hedgehog concept. And I would say it's central to a lot of the programs that we run at the Center for Executive Education. So that's a little bit about who we are and why the hedgehog concept today. So this is, I should have my own hedgehog. Let me see if I can find it. It's usually lying around somewhere. There it is. You know, it's really the intersection of these three circles. What are you deeply passionate about? What can you be best in the world at? And then the third, that financial piece, what drives your economic engine? And that intersection, that kind of middle point is this idea of a hedgehog. Without going too much into, you know, the characteristics of hedgehogs, but it's the idea of finding that sweet spot, finding your focus, figuring out that one thing that really makes sense for you or your organization to do. So it's a concept that applies both at the personal level and at the organizational level. So what I thought we could do today is, you know, these three questions, when you look at it, some of them can be intimidating. What are you deeply passionate about? Great question, but sometimes hard to answer, right? Not everyone knows what they're deeply passionate about. So we're going to ask a slightly different question that gets to your passions. What can you be best in the world at? Again, oh my God, you know, that's what could I be best in the world at? It seems intimidating, but you know that you are unique, right? There's nobody in the world right now who's exactly like you are. Nobody ever in the future will be exactly like you are, and nobody in the past has ever been exactly like you are. So by definition, we are unique and therefore can do things in a unique way. And we all have superpowers, right? So I'm going to ask you a question about your superpower. And then the last one, what drives your economic engine, we'll do a little brainstorming here to think about how might you combine things that you really care about deeply, love doing, that play to your superpowers, and that you might even be paid for. So we're going to do all of that in the next 15 minutes, believe it or not, okay? Or approximately 15 minutes. So the way we're going to do this is, let me go to the next slide. But you know what, here, I think it's time for, before we get into the activity, let me survey the group again. So these are the 4 options that I'm going to give you in this second poll, which is maybe you have a job right now that pays the bills, but you're not passionate about it. So that's option 1. And again, I'm going to set up a poll so that you don't have to type in the text box and we can see. Second option is I have a dream that brings together my passions and my strengths, but I haven't acted on it yet. The third option is you might have found that hedgehog, right? You may be doing exactly something that plays to your passions, your strengths, and pays the bills, or none of the above. Maybe you're in a different situation, you're in a transition. So I'm going to set up the second poll here. Let's see. Ready? And I'm going to launch poll. Are you going well? Cross the 3/4 mark. We've hit 80%. We've got some stragglers, hard choices, I know. All right, another 3-4 seconds. I think we're gonna hit 90%. It's a good day here. All right, I know some of you may be driving, don't crash. It's okay if you're driving and you can't answer. Okay, I'm gonna end poll now so you can view the results. And let's see, so, you know, we have about 20% who say, I have a job now that pays the bills, but I'm not passionate about. So that's 1 in 5 or so. You have 30%. This is a really interesting group. I have a dream that brings together my passions and my strengths, but haven't acted on it yet. A lot of our processes and diplomas are precisely about taking action when you have this kind of dream. About 20% of you have found your hedgehog. That's great. I hope this session helps you reiterate that we are evolving dynamic organisms, right? So you may have your hedgehog now, but it's great to be reflecting on these questions in any case. Things evolve, so you have to kind of stay on it. And then about a third of you, none of these options applied, which is fine. So thank you everyone for responding to that poll. And now let's get on with our process, which is, this is a better question to ask when trying to think about your passions. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. You're going to be in rooms of approximately 3 people. You're going to get 1 minute each. Each person, somebody starts. Let's say I'm seeing Annette, Hazel, and Julia. Imagine if you were in a room together. Julia, you might start by saying, okay, these are things I love doing. I love hosting webinars. I love playing music. I love it when I can listen to somebody and give them feedback on something they're worrying about. And then Julia, if you stop before a minute, your group says, what else? What else? Okay, so all your group is doing is prompting you to to share with you more about what are the things you love doing. How will you know when your minute's up? I'm going to message to say your minute's up, switch to the next person. Okay, so if you have less than 3 people in your room, you can take 1.5 minutes each. If you have more than 3 people, then you get a little less, but I'll try and break it up. There's 63 people now, and we're going to get approximately 3 in each room. Are the instructions clear on what you're going to do for the next 3 minutes? So you'll find yourself in a breakout room. You have to hit accept on your screen. You have to put on your video, unmute yourself, and you'll find yourself in that conversation around what is it that you love doing. So I'm going to start with creating the breakout rooms. And like I said, I'm going to have 20 rooms which is going to give 2 to 3 participants per room. Ready? See you back in about 3 minutes. I'll call you back when the time is up. And everyone's back. How was your conversation? Give me a thumbs up if it went well. You could hear everyone, see everyone. Excellent, excellent. Did the time go by fast or slowly? Fast? Más o menos? Okay. Remember, if your partner runs out of things to say, you have to say, tell me more. Okay, so we have most people back. Maybe another 30 seconds here. And then we had a few people who were in the waiting room who just joined, so they'll participate in the next round of questions, right? All right, so I think everyone back. All right, so excellent. So now that's really, one way to get a sense of, that big question, what are you passionate about, is think about the things that you really enjoy doing and so this was an opportunity to have a quick reflection on that. Another great question is, what did you love doing when you were 8 years old? Things that maybe you've forgotten. So, okay, we're going to move on. I'm going to share screen again, and I'll tell you where we're going with our next question. You may already have guessed it for those of you who've taken a course with UPEACE before, but yes, the next question, the one that Jim Collins in the Hedgehog concept calls, what can you be the best in the world at? I think a great reframe is, what's your superpower? What's 1 or 2 things that you really do very, very well? They can be simple things, like for me, one is when somebody comes to me with a problem they're facing, I'm really able to listen and give them my undivided attention in a way that most often they feel much better after talking to me. Or it could be like, you're the Trinidad and Tobago's #1, sprinter. So any level, what is your superpower? Same process. I'm going to put you in rooms of 3. This time, I'm going to give you half a minute to share what is it that your superpower is, and maybe a quick story or why you think that's your superpower before you switch to the next person. Okay, so 30 seconds each to share your superpower. Are we ready? And here, what I'm going to do initially, you've gotten to know each other a little bit. So for this room, I'm going to keep it the same room. So you're going to be in the same group. And the next one, I'll switch you into different groups. All right. So see you back in about 2 minutes, and I'll give you time warnings. So please accept your breakout room. And I'll quickly fill you in on a quick conversation I had with one of the participants, Henya. She said, I think my superpower maybe not in every situation a superpower, but it's thinking a lot, analyzing. And the great thing, as we think about forming teams, often you try to take different superpowers that complement each other, right? And that's the key. That's the reason that we're all unique and we have different superpowers. So great. Thank you everyone for engaging. Last breakout room. This one, I'm going to put you in pairs, and I'm going to give you a minute each. It's going to be rapid brainstorm. Okay, you share with your partner all the things. I'll put the question up, but just, this is the hardest of the questions. This is where we have a whole process around, but I want you to begin reflecting on this with the partner. If for some reason your partner drops out or can't speak, just take these 2 minutes to reflect on this question for you. So let me share screen and put up the third question. This is the big question, which is, can you see it? What are some things that you love doing that play to your superpower and that you might be able to get paid for doing because they make some value or some impact in the world, right? That's the question. That's the brainstorm. So I am going to put you into new breakout rooms. Let me just stop sharing for a second so you can see everyone. Everyone got that question clear? Yeah? Perfect. Okay, so let's do this. There's 56 of you. I'm going to put you into 28 breakout rooms. 27 rooms are coming back. The others have about 30 seconds to close up. Give me like a 5 means excellent conversation. 0 means terrible conversation. Give me a score. How was the conversation in your room? 5, Joe. Good to see. Nice, Raymond. Okay, Eugenia, 4. Tough grader. Okay, Anna, 4. And then Di Stefano, how much did you give it? How was your conversation? Awesome. I like 5s, but hey, you know what? We're always trying to improve things. So 4 is fine too. I can live with. All right. Okay, everyone's back, I think. Let's see, 3 seconds left, 47:50. People coming in, it's a party again. We're up to 50 something people, excellent. So, you know, I know time flies and I wanna say a couple of things about this activity. The idea of taking, we had about 10 minutes over 3 different questions to start thinking about that hedgehog concept is, really, it's not something that you expect to nail in these 3 conversations, but it's an opportunity for you to A, get familiar with this hedgehog concept, B, for you to have, sometimes when we're asked these questions in different ways, it allows us to really reflect and open up. And what I would like to say is, as a follow-up to this session, we're going to send you out the slides. And I'm also going to send you out some more questions that might help you get deeper into these 3 different circles, and the intersection of which is that famous hedgehog. So wanted to give you a little appetizer of some of the work we do, this idea of really focusing on our passions, our strengths, what makes sense financially, and that what makes a positive impact in the world is really the work we do. We might have courses with different names, from design thinking to designing your life, or leadership, positive leadership, but the essence, that framework is at the essence of what we do. So with that, I think it's a great transition over to Hannah. Hannah, the second part of this webinar, as we advertise, is really for our participants to get more familiar with some of our offerings. So over to you now, and thank you everyone for putting up with me and my hedgehog.
Thank you, Mohit. I am going to switch gears just a little bit and talk to you about some of our diploma programs at the Center for Executive Education. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And if you could let me know when you all see it. Good? Okay, perfect. So again, I think during the first 30 minutes of this webinar, we were able to really see one of the frameworks that underpins the diploma programs at the university. And for some of you, perhaps these diplomas, you've heard of them before. For others, maybe I see some familiar faces, but for others, this is perhaps an introduction. But we just want to let you know that these are programs that really allow you to live your hedgehog, doing what you love, and also being able to pay the bills at the same time. So before getting into specifics, I want to talk a little bit more about why this matters for you. Here you'll see a bunch of different leaders, ones who are quite famous for their leadership from all different parts of the world. And I'm sure that every one of you can think of someone in your own life who you see as a leader, a parent, a friend, a colleague, a mentor, someone who's guided you throughout your life. And these are people who many of us look up to and really strive to be like, right? So there's one thing that all of these people have in common, and that's a really strong desire to positively influence those around them and make the world a better place. So for us here at the center, this is the core of leadership and being a positive change maker and an agent of change in the world. This is a quote that I love by Simon Sinek. He's a best-selling author. We often refer to him in some of our courses. He's done extensive leadership research on leadership. And he says, leadership is not a rank or a position. Leadership is a decision and a choice. If you decide to look after the person to the left of you and look after the person to the right of you, you have become a leader. So it's really not about the title you hold or whether you manage a team or the specific organization that you work for. Anyone and everyone has the potential to lead and make positive change in the world. So by virtue of simply being here, every person right now attending this session today not only has the potential, but the interest in investing in themselves and using their passions and their strengths to positively influence those around them. So why now? This is also one of the biggest questions, and we are all aware of the current reality that is, we're living in unprecedented times. uncertainty, lots of worry, drastic change. These are all things that are part of our daily life right now. There's a concept called a VUCA world that we often refer to as well, and that's a world that's characterized by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So this is just an acronym. But all of these characteristics existed pre-COVID, and now with the pandemic are even more amplified. So we really feel like there's a need for strong leaders, be it within families or within organizations or within society, to really bring about positive impact in a time when we need it most. And so the UPEACE Center diploma programs provide a solution for this, for you to do this, empower you, give you the skills and mindsets to be the person that the world really needs right now. And then for many of us, we've had to shift the kind of work we do and the focus that we have to kind of match this new normal that we're living in. So that's also where the diploma comes in. It helps to give you tools to adapt right now and continue to be effective. During the first half of this webinar, we wanted to give you a small piece of content, but also a taste of how the center offers these transformational online courses. We know right now, especially right now, you have a ton of online courses to choose from. So I just wanted to point out a few of the things that make our courses special. One of the things is that they all include weekly live webinars that are really interactive and engaging. So much like you experienced during the first 30 minutes or so with us, breakout rooms, chat function, polls, all of these things come together, and we try to make these sessions, these weekly sessions, as engaging as possible so that you can practically feel like you're in the same room with the other person, which right now in the days of social distancing and virtual learning, it's definitely a priority for us and something we find is really important. The other piece I wanted to mention is that much like the first half of this session, our courses are very much learner-centered. So it's all about you, your experience, and how specific learnings and content can be translated to your own life. You won't be given lots of information and then expected to go apply it. Instead, you'll actually go through each course applying the content or the information to your particular situation or context. And at the end, you'll have a final product. It could be a social media strategy or a business plan or a leadership plan, but it's ready for you to act on because it pertains exactly to you and your particular situation. Because all of our courses are online, it means that people from virtually all over the world, much like this session, can take part. We do keep our courses small, from 15 to 18 people per course, and that's on purpose for more personalized interaction. But it's really not uncommon to have a group of 15 to 18 people representing upwards of 7 to 8 different countries. And you can just imagine what that does for the learning experience. You learn from others with different perspectives, from different backgrounds, which just makes the entire experience much more dynamic and enriching. And then finally, our facilitators are all experts in their fields, and we handpick them based on their expertise and credentials. Their profiles range from best-selling authors, Harvard graduates, university professors, and executive directors. And really, each one of them is really they're obviously an expert in their field, but they're really passionate about their subject area. They make themselves really available to the participants throughout the courses for any questions and concerns. And in fact, most of them also are willing and able to coordinate one-on-one conversations with you should you have any concerns throughout the course as well. They basically want to make sure you have the best experience possible and you get the most out of the material. So we have 2 diploma programs, each of which is comprised of 5 different courses that can be completed within an 18-month time span. Many participants finish much sooner than this, so that's one thing to consider, but we also understand that life and work commitments come up unexpectedly, so if you need to take a break during the program and pick up a couple months later, that's completely fine and works. Both diplomas have a requisite course and then 4 other electives that you can choose based on what you are interested in and what your needs are. We offer each course 2 to 3 times per year, so that timing can really work around your schedule. And we also know that a lot of you are very busy professionals and have active family lives. So making a commitment like this to a diploma program, it needs to fit into your life, right? So we've purposely made all the courses largely self-paced so that you can kind of work through at the times that are most convenient for you. Most of our participants report spending around 4 to 8 hours on coursework per week. And this is time, of course, that you can spread out during the week as you see fit. So the first diploma I want to talk about briefly is the Diploma in Social Innovation. It's a diploma that's designed for people who have a very entrepreneurial mindset. They want to start their own social business or start their own social project. Maybe this means that you're in a position where you have something already that's semi-developed, but you want to continue developing it, or you simply have an idea and you're not sure how to move forward with it. The required course for this diploma is called Entrepreneurship, Innovation, and Social Change. It's a 6-week course that essentially guides you through all of the important aspects of starting a social impact initiative, from understanding who a social entrepreneur is, to understanding how to scale your venture and how to make sure it's financially viable. And at the very end, the outcome of this is that you have a reviewed business plan in hand, ready to get your initiative off the ground and get things started. The second diploma that I wanted to talk about is the Global Leadership Diploma. This is one that focuses more on the aspect of being effective as a leader in your organization, within your family, within your sphere of influence. Remember, it's not just a program designed for people who manage companies and are CEOs. And the required course for this diploma could be one of 2 courses, either positive leadership or regenerative leadership. The courses obviously offer different angles to leadership, but the regenerative leadership course has more of a sustainability focus, and positive leadership has more of a strengths-based focus. But both of them will culminate in a final deliverable that gives you a personal or organizational leadership strategy that you can put into practice right away. So what other kinds of courses are included in these diploma programs? I've mentioned some of the requisite courses, but apart from those, the other 4 are completely up to you. And it's worth mentioning that you can actually complete both programs essentially in the same way, with the exception of the requisite courses. And we do this on purpose so that you can have full access to all of our course offerings and really take the diploma in the direction that you'd like to take it based on what you're most excited about learning about. Our elective courses basically fall into a few different categories. We have skills-based, we have education, and we have personal development. In the skills-based category, we have a course on fundraising in the social sector, one on measuring impact, another on social media, and another on skills for effective negotiations. All of these courses are meant to give you a very specific and practical skill in the end. The couple courses we have related to education, they're formatted a little bit differently. Global Citizenship is actually a webinar series, and Educating in Changing Times is more of a self-paced online course. But they're both meant to help you and support you in embedding kind of global citizenship and really important values today into the classroom or into the context in which you're working. And then finally, the personal development ones, we have a couple here. Designing Your Life, it's doing some of what we did today, understanding your unique strengths and being able to put a plan together to make sure that you're living a life that you want to be living and prioritizing the relationships and the pieces of your life that are important to you. And then finally, Gross Global Happiness. This is a very different offering. It's a conference actually that we hold once a year. We're excited to be doing it for the first time virtually for March 2021. And this conference brings together people from all walks of life, thought leaders, consultants, coaches, and simply those who want to learn how to have more well-being and happiness in their lives. So I just wanted to highlight a few of the many benefits of this diploma program. This may go without saying, but obviously the knowledge, the skills, and the tools to really put your dream into action. Imagine being a social entrepreneur and having that ability to go through and work very closely with something you're passionate about, but there's also a true need for in the world, or just being a global leader and standing out and bringing a new type of leadership to the table. You'll have all of these very concrete competencies and tools to move forward in that way. You'll also become this is a huge benefit, a part of a really robust network of global change makers from all over the world. This shot was actually taken from a recent course, and just had the opportunity to connect with them, not only in the courses themselves, but also way beyond them. There are countless examples of people who meet in a course and then they come together to collaborate on an initiative, start a partnership together, or simply lend support. So you're part of this network for life, which is pretty cool. And then finally, the diploma itself. Apart from, you'll receive a certificate of completion after each course, but you'll also get this diploma, much like the one you see here. Frankly, it's a big credential. It really says a lot. You'll see a bunch of different logos on here, including the United Nations logo, which is embedded within the University for Peace's logo. And it just shows that you're someone who values and invests in their professional growth and potential. We often encourage people to put this on their resume, on their LinkedIn profile, to get visibility from others in the professional community, but also kind of justify the time and effort that you put into a learning experience like this one. I have a quick testimony. I know we are short on time, but I'm almost finished. I'll share this quick testimonial from somebody who has been through our diploma program, and her name is Liliana Nunez. She's based in Mexico and is the founder and manager of a nonprofit that she started after her program with us.
The tools of the Global Leadership Diploma courses are being my basic guide now that I am a social entrepreneur of a nonprofit organization. It has helped me become a better leader and a better person. UPEACE courses have truly transformed my professional life, but have also connected me with people from all over the world that share the same interest of making this planet a better and a happier place to live. This diploma helped me understand of how NGOs and social companies measure their social impact, which are the best practices for fundraising and for social media strategy, and the importance of promoting happiness all over the world. And the best thing for me is that it gave me a lot of new friends.
So again, just giving you a little bit of a taste of who's the type of people that go through our programs and their experience. If you are interested in getting started, here are some of the courses that we have coming up. These do fill up fairly quick.
Sorry, Hannah, I'll just unmute you. There was some background noise.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Here are some of the courses that we have coming up during the last few months of the year. They do fill up quickly, but we do have some available spots still open. The diploma program costs under $2,500, which I think if you compare it to an MA degree in social innovation or leadership that costs upwards of thousands of dollars, this is a really reasonable experience in terms of value, but it's very high quality and the content is just amazing. So if you are ready to get started, I think that there's a couple ways that you can move forward. One is registering for the program. You can just go to this link here. I will be sending out all of these links via follow-up, but you go there and then you can click on Global Leadership Diploma or Diploma in Social Innovation in the list of courses. Or the other thing is, let's just have a conversation. We're very open to talking to you guys and making sure that you understand how this diploma program fits into your life based on your needs. So shoot us an email or you can connect with me on a brief phone call. So I think that's it for my piece today. I think we're barely under the time limit here, or barely over. But I hope this has been helpful, and thank you all for your time. Maybe Mohit, we can open it up for some questions if people have any.
Sure. Firstly, thanks, Hannah, for running us through that. It's a lot of information, we realize. And that's why Hannah said that, you know, the other way you can go about it is we'll send you a link. You can go through our website, click on the courses. We have a lot of information on our website, and we'd be happy to connect with you one-on-one to talk you through any questions you might have. For those of you who need to leave because you have other commitments now, thank you so much for your presence this last hour. For those of you who want to stay and have some questions, Hannah and the rest of the center team are available to stay on here for at least a few more minutes to get through any urgent questions you might have right now. So thanks everyone very, very much for joining us today. We look forward to staying in touch, and bye for now for those of you who need to leave. Thank you. So maybe what we can do is just a quick, can I invite team members of the center just to say a quick hello for those of, for the rest of the participants, and then we can take any questions. So maybe, Paula, I see you first on my screen. So maybe a quick intro, and then Julia, Esme.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Paula Piazza. I'm from the United States, but I live in Costa Rica and have been working with the UPEACE Center for Executive Education. Nice to meet you all. Nice to see you all.
Julia?
I'll go next. Yeah, I'm Julia. I was super excited to see a lot of you because I actually recently, since the beginning of COVID, am one of the main people talking to people about the programs. So I actually know a lot of you probably recognize my name because I recognize a lot of your names. So nice to put some faces with those names. And yeah, Hannah is the one who did the presentation, but I'm definitely open to continue the conversation too, just to say that from the start.
Thanks, Julia. And Esme, there you are in the middle of my screen.
Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Esmeralda. I'm from Costa Rica, and I'm the project specialist, and I help all the students with all the online courses. So if you're already taking a course or you're planning to take a course, you're gonna definitely be talking with me. Really nice to meet you all.
Thank you, everyone. So just to facilitate this conversation, firstly, I don't think we'll take more than 10 minutes now just to create some kind of ending. Otherwise, people feel like obligated to stay. So, but in the next 10 minutes or up to 10 minutes, please feel free. There are two ways you can ask questions. You can raise your hand through one of the Zoom functions, or you can just unmute yourself and start speaking. So go for it.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello. I have a quick question. It is like you guys provide a scholarship for. Hello.
Okay, so I was able to understand the question was, do you also provide scholarships?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, maybe I'll take that very briefly. We do have limited and very specific partial scholarships available. So for that, you'd have to get in touch with us directly, and then we would, there is a process to apply for a scholarship. And if you qualify, we do have partial scholarships. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, thank you.
Other questions? Actually, even if you have a comment, feel free to share. Are you guys aware of how to raise your hand in Zoom? It's under the participant icons, or just unmute yourself, or use the text box if you have a question too. Yeah, Anna?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. Well, hello everyone. Just a comment to say, I thought this was a really good session. And I mean, though it was short, the questions that were asked really allowed me to do a lot of deep thinking, and I'm going to expand on that. So I really appreciated this.
So good to hear. Thank you for that feedback, Anna.
Okay.
When does the next cycle for the Global Leadership Diploma commence? I can field this one just because I saw the question first. We open up a certain number of spots per month, but basically the classes are all offered 2 to 3 times a year. And the program is set up to be very flexible. So it isn't as though you have to start on a certain date and go through the courses in a specific order. You're picking which ones are most relevant to you at that time. And in fact, we encourage people not to decide, you know, up front and try to lock in their 5 courses, because even during the course of the diploma, your needs professionally or personally might evolve and change, and you might realize that you have an interest or a need in an area that you hadn't realized at the beginning. So basically, you can start at any time. Vanessa, who asked that, I know you're in a class right now. When you finish that, you'll be 20% done with the diploma, and it would simply be figuring out which class was most relevant to you as the next one. As Hannah mentioned, there is 1 required class for each of the types of the diploma, but even those don't have to be taken at a specific point during the cycle. And if that seems overwhelming to you, sometimes we do have people say, well, how do I figure out which order I take the classes in? You can always get on the phone with one of us and talk through sort of where you are personally and professionally, and we can help you try to figure out what would be a good progression for you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Julia.
No problem.
Hi.
Yes, Andrea.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, I'm
Hello.
Andrea from Jamaica. Question, does the Global Leadership course entails a practicum or internship? And also, does it involve research? Did you hear me?
Yes, sorry, I think our team was looking at each other trying to figure out who would answer the question, but I get it. No, it does not involve a practicum or internship. In many cases, people are working on a project as they go. You don't have to have a project in mind when you start. Some people are working on just having the tools that they need, but what we're really aiming at is for you to be able to apply what you're learning to your context. So a best case scenario is going to be that you are thinking about what you want to be doing in your life that applies these, and you're doing it as you go. So basically you are your own practicum, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You go forward and you're getting feedback on it continuously from your professors and as you do assignments and work on things in the program. So it's a great opportunity to take a passion and bring it forward. And in terms of research, there's no specific research, and this will also, there was a question in the chat box about examinations or assessments. Each one of the courses follows a set of modules that progress you in an area of learning. And as you sort of unlock each one, you're thinking about this concept of what am I going to do with it? How am I going to apply it to my own situation? And by the end, what you hand in is a final assessment, a final trabajo, a final homework piece, deliverable, that in most cases is going to be this application piece. Okay, I learned all this stuff. How am I going to use it? So for instance, if you take the course on measuring impact and outcomes, you learn to set up a system of monitoring and evaluation for a project or an organization. And then if you have an organization or a project, your final work is to show how you're going to lay it out and actually do the plan. Or if you don't have one, you pick an organization that you're familiar with or that you admire, and you do it in that situation instead. So it's not research, as in our classes are set up to be very practical and applicable in the professional development field, more than focused on theory and academics.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add on to that, there aren't exams or assessments throughout the course. It's actually going to be based on this practical deliverable that you turn in. And oftentimes the professor will also evaluate your participation in the forum, the weekly forum questions, which is a space where you can also interact with peers and your facilitator online. But basically we take those two things, and if you put in the time and commitment during the course and are able to finish it with this final product in hand, we consider that a successful completion of the course.
Great questions.
Oh, that sounded great. I just have one final question. Well, one question from me. And I think it was sort of answered by Julia already. But this being a professional development diploma, does it lead to any of the pathway to any of the academic programs, such as your master's or bachelor programs at UPEACE?
Not directly. So UPEACE has master's programs and doctoral level programs, and a lot of people who go through, not a lot, but it's certainly not uncommon for people who go through our programs to later enroll in a master's program or a doctoral program. But it's not necessarily considered as part of it so much as, yeah, almost an introduction to UPEACE, a different skill building set of learning that you can do. Payment plans is another question I see in the chat box. So we do set up payment plans, especially in the COVID world. We fully understand that a lot of people have been affected negatively and are having difficult times. We can set up payment plans on a one-on-one basis if and when people need them. We do require a certain $500 down payment to get started, as in to be able to enroll in your first class. As Hannah mentioned, the courses do often fill up to a month before they begin. So if you think you want to start, it's a good idea to put down the deposit that lets you enroll. And then we can work out a payment plan. Ideally, there are 2 payments after that to ensure the remainder of the diploma, but we are willing to talk to people one-on-one and figure out their situations and work with them to find a solution. Any other questions from the gallery?
Hi, I have a question. It's regarding to the information Hannah shared for the courses. So just looking at that information there, and you have identified your courses and you have the diploma, but in the diploma it's structured whereby you had a prerequisite, such that I think positive leadership, or the other one was a prerequisite, but it's also identified as an individual course. If someone wants to choose to do the individual course at this time, what's the implication for further down the road if they wanted to do the diploma? How does that affect in terms of cost and in terms of timeline?
Yes, excellent question. This is a question that we get from people all the time. They want to try out a course and see what it's like first before committing to the entire diploma program, and that's completely fine. You would take, for example, positive leadership or the course that you're most interested in, and then afterwards you only have 4 more courses to complete, because we would include that course towards your overall diploma program. So you would be given a reduction in the overall diploma cost, because you'd only be paying for 4 more courses.
Yeah, just to chime in terms of price, it is the cheapest, most cost-effective way to do it is to pay up front for the whole program, as is, you know, often in the course. There's there's a little bit of a reduction for doing that. But if you've already done one, we definitely take that into account, and it is considerably cheaper.
Thank you.
Most welcome. All right, so I'm going to do a quick visual of whoever I can see. I'm not seeing any hands up. I think we've reached about the arc of also we're very well aware that we're all managing energy, 75 minutes of screen time. I think we're ready for a bit of a break, but this is where really it's a very, very warm and genuine invitation to all of you to stay in touch in different shapes and forms. We have, now that you've registered for this webinar, you're on our mailing list. We'll send you firstly just the recording of this webinar, the slides, and I'll send you some additional questions around the Hedgehog concept that might be helpful. And then we'll keep you informed of our upcoming courses. We have twice a month, we have a 3 Thought Thursday where we pick an impactful article, a video, sometimes a quote. And so you can unsubscribe at any point, but we hope that in some shape or form, this has allowed us to connect and stay in touch. And of course, we're obviously very, very open to any follow-up conversation. So thank you, everyone.